Starting from your GoDaddy dashboard, scroll down until you find the Managed WordPress section and click Manage All. What you'll want to do next is click Create WP Site. My preference is to use the first option. Yes, I've used WordPress before. Click Continue. The option here does not make a big difference, so go ahead and select the first one to write blog posts and click Continue. Select North America, if indeed you are in North America. For ease and convenience, you can go ahead and click the GoDaddy template. In my case, I prefer using my own builder and custom theme. We'll click Continue. Create a WordPress username. Now, be aware this will be the one that establishes the database. It's also your main username. So, create a username for whatever you would like. So, in this case, let's just create me. And it has to be lowercase letters. So, we'll just go with that. This will take a few minutes, and the site will slowly start preparing itself on the back end. It's important that you don't close this tab or move away from the page. It only takes a few minutes, so please be patient. And now your site is ready to go. So we can do a couple things here. Let's just start by going to the dashboard. And now we're on the WordPress dashboard. This is a basic clean install, so you can see there's not much here. Going down and looking at what is available. Your dashboard, which gets you back. Your posts are where you have your blogs. These are your blog articles. Media library is where all of your images, documents, and videos can be held. Comments, if you're using comments, can be moderated here. Appearance deals with the themes, and the plugins are the additional functionalities. Here you have users, so you can manage your users. Tools are more for advanced users, and settings, there will be a lot that control your website from here. So what we're going to do is I like starting with a very clean build and putting in the Elementor plugins first and other critical plugins. So the way I like to start is let's go to themes and take a look at what themes are. Themes in WordPress come with the most recent ones, 2022, 2020, and 2021. You do not want many themes on here, so the first thing I will do is go in and delete all but the most current WordPress standard theme. Next, what we're going to do is go to Add New, because we want to add the Hello theme by Elementor. Type in Hello, look for this theme, Hello Elementor, and click Install. Once it's installed, we're going to want to activate it, and this will take just a minute as it activates. And now that that's activated, you'll get this option to install Elementor. So let's do that. Now this is installing the free version of Elementor. You can purchase a license if you're a Great Things client. I have a developer's license that I will share, but you'll now see that Elementor is active. Again, this is the free one. We will want to go pro, but now that we are in the plugins section, we're going to clean these up a little bit. So first, let's deactivate code blocks. This is WordPress's drag and drop editor. Since we're using Elementor, we don't need it, so let's deactivate that. Now that we have these deactivated, we can go ahead and click those and do a bulk delete. We're going to remove those bulk deletes. And the next thing we're going to do is set up a few plugins that I highly recommend. So one of the first ones is a very simple one. The first one I recommend is folders. So type in folder and search. You're going to look for folders by Premio. We're going to install this now. What folders provides is an easy and simple way to organize your media library. WordPress, by its nature, will just lump everything right into the category, so there's a little bit of setup here. I don't use them necessarily with pages or posts, but I will use it for media, and everything else is pretty much integrated pro. So let's just go ahead and save these changes. Now with the free version, you get up to 10 folders to organize in your media library. So we're going to look here now, and you're going to see this looks a little bit different. You'll see folders here. And again, before you start, I like to create a couple folders that are just kind of standard for most installations. The first one I would call brand assets, and this is for all your logos, company approved photography, whatever you use. that is related to your brand. I would also set one up for photos, maybe one for graphics, and one for documents. The other folder I do suggest is doing a blog images folder, because if you're blogging actively, you'll have featured images and a whole bunch of images that are related to blog that may not necessarily be related to your site, and that is just a good practice to have. And finally, we'll add the documents in here, and now you can sort. When you upload, you'll notice you can pick which folder you want it to go into. More on uploading photos later, but this is a good start. So we're going to go back to plugins, and we're going to add a new, so let's go look at the installed plugin. So now we can see folders is on here. We're going to add a new one. This one is Classic Editor. I feel it is much simpler to use this when editing blog posts, because you will edit blog posts in the WordPress editor, not Elementor. So go ahead, find Classic Editors, install that, and when it comes up, we're going to activate it. And that should take us back to the installed plugin so we can see Classic Editor. One more that I highly suggest is an SEO plugin. You have two options. One is Yoast, there's a nice free version, and one is Squirrly. They're relatively the same case. Yoast is an industry standard, very well tested plugin, but I have found Squirrly SEO to be much more user intuitive and much more powerful. So we're going to go in here, we're going to add a new one, and let's look for Squirrly SEO. So here it is, by Squirrly. Let's install that. Also look in the linked documents in this section, because there is a referral code that will offer discounts and get you licensed on the pro version of Squirrly SEO. All right, so now we have the basics of our setup for the folders. One of the things we can do here, let's look up here on the Managed WordPress. You want to click enable auto updates. So now you can see these are all enabled. I also suggest that we check that they happened on, yes, they are enabled on the themes too. So this way, you'll always have your WordPress up to date and current. All right, the next step is actually setting up the WordPress structure. And we're going to start by going to settings in general, put in your site title. So we'll call this Josh's GoDaddy WordPress example site. And you can put in whatever your tagline is, helping people with WordPress and Elementor. So you can make your site tagline whatever it is for your business. Check all this. I make sure membership, anyone can register, is unchecked. Find your time zone. Many plugins prefer that you use the city code rather than the UTC. So we're just going to go here and find New York. That's pretty close. Set your format, how you would like it in. Next, you'll choose your date format. I'm going to choose this one, time format, and which day your work week starts on. So Monday, let's save those changes. Once those are saved, we'll move on to the writing. A couple selections here. You can set up a mail server here. This will help any emails that are generated by plugins on your website not to go to spam. There are also other solutions to make sure your site is not registering as a spam site. Okay, let's move on to reading. We will set this up after we've created a couple basic pages, so we're going to come back to this. Discussion. You can follow the example of what I've checked and unchecked here. You can play with this, but one of the things that we want to do is lock this down so people can't make comments on your blog posts. It just generates a lot of spam and is honestly quite frustrating to deal with. So let's save changes. Okay, next we're going to move on to media. That's pretty standard. Permalinks is an important one. You want to select these at the earliest convenience. When you change them, it can cause havoc on your site downstream. So my personal preference is doing the post name. It gives a much more user-friendly URL. We're going to save some changes there. And privacy we'll come back to in a minute. So let's start by setting up just a couple blank pages. So essentially on your dashboard now, you've gotten all the basics that you need, and we need just to do some initial page structure. So we're going to look at what pages are created. There's usually some by default. You can leave the privacy policy. We're going to trash this sample page, and we're going to start from scratch. So let's just do this as basic as possible. So I'm going to call this one home page, and we can publish it. Right now, we're going to set up the page structure, and I'm going to show you how to edit these next. So let's go back to all pages. You'll see home page is set up, and let's go ahead and put in services. We'll create a couple more pages. We're going to publish that. Let's add a new one. We're going to add an About Us page. I'm going to add a blog page. And finally, we'll just add a Contact Us page. And we're going to publish this as well. Let's go back to settings and look at reading. So here's where we're going to update these settings. We want a static page as our home page. And so let's click and select home page and select post pages as blogs. I would suggest showing the most blog pages as 12. This is nice because it will either show rows of 3 or 4 and not have 1 or 2 stragglers in the grid setup. So we're going to save those changes. All right, finally, what we'll want to do is create a rough or the first menu. So go to Appearances and select Menus. There's a couple options to create WordPress menus. I prefer doing these manually rather than automatically. You can have this done by WordPress, but I do not recommend it. And let's create this menu. Okay, so we're going to look at all the pages we have here, and we're going to select what we want. Just going to add them all to the menu. Okay, you'll see it comes over here. Now, these are probably not in the order in which we want, so we'd want to drag services up. We'd want to move blog next and About Us. But now we want to make Contact Us a submenu. So all you have to do is drag it in. Once you get that, you can click Save. All right, now we can look at the site. You can visit site here. Again, this is the default. And if you take a look at the site, this is the most basic site. It basically has your site title, your tagline, and this is the home page. There's no menus or anything built yet. I just wanted to show you what to expect when you get here. So we're going to go back to the dashboard. In order to install Elementor Pro, you're going to want to sign on to Elementor's website, go to your subscription, and click on Download Zip. All right, now come back to WordPress. We're going to install Elementor Pro, and we're going to do this through uploading a plugin, and we're going to choose the file. So find that file. When it's downloaded, if you're on a Mac, it will typically unzip the file. This needs to be in a zip, so select it and choose Compress to get it back into the zip format. All right, there we go. So now what we can do is navigate back here to Plugins, Add New. We're going to choose the file and search for the Elementor Pro zip. So let's upload that and click Install now. Once it's installed, you'll want to click Activate Plugin. Okay, you'll now see Elementor Pro in your plugin. So we're going to have to click Connect and Activate. So if you're already signed into Elementor, they'll have this simple button where you can activate your license. It'll go right through and show your active status here. I'm going to show you one more basic editing technique, and then please check the other videos in this series for more details on how to create pages, update, and change themes, landing pages, and other widgets. So let's go back to pages, and we're going to start with the home page. So you'll need to do this one time for each page. So click on the page, and it will bring up the WordPress editor dashboard. We do not want to use this when editing pages, so we want to click on Edit with Elementor. This will take us to the Elementor editing screen. Okay, and here is where we can add different columns. We can drag in headers and images and all the different things. We can also use, now that we're connected, either blocks, which are curated different types of sections. So maybe we wanted to insert a call to action. We can use pages, which are pre-built formatted pages, and we're going to click Update. Again, I go into further depth on how to edit with Elementor. Once you've updated, to get back to the dashboard, you'll want to click here and click Exit. With a new installation, you're going to get an option of what you want to do when you exit, and that is either to, by default, view the post when it's done, to go to all, or to the dashboard. I'm just going to select dashboard. It's an easier way to get back and forth. So let's got to update it one more time. A little glitch there. Now you have the choice to view page or exit. Let's go to exit because I want to show you how you're going to enter this again. So we're going to go back to the pages menu, and you'll notice something different. When you hover over this, there is now an option with edit with Elementor. This is how you're going to get in to edit pages from now moving forward. Okay, and again, you can see these ones do not have the edit with Elementor, so we have to edit these once in Elementor just to make sure that it's live. And again, we're going to add a little section here. I'm going to make this just a page so we can show you. And this will insert the entire page layout from which you can edit or change. If this is your first time building a site, this is often a very helpful way to get started. As you can see, all of this has been placed in your page. So we're going to update here and exit back. Let's take a view of the page. So one of the things that I like about this, so we can now see how the page renders when you're not logged in as an administrator. Okay, you can now repeat this. See, it has the Elementor. You can repeat this for all except for the blog post. You will not do this for the blog page. We will be setting up the blog archive in a different format. Go ahead and continue this for the rest of the pages. Okay, so we're on the home page. You can see what we've added here, but you'll notice there's no menu here. We're going to look next on how to set up a basic header and footer for the website, because this is using the default WordPress scheme. So we're going to go back to the dashboard, and under Elementor, you'll see templates, and we want to go to theme builder under templates. We're going to choose to add a new header here. You'll see there's several options, and I'll come back to these later. But we're going to choose a header. Now, easy way to get started is to pick one that looks visually appealing to you. These are great starting points, so let's go ahead and start with this one. And we're just going to add this to the page, and you'll see all of this information here. So one thing we're going to want to do is click this edit button. When you click the edit button here, it brings the control up here on the left. So the test menu is already selected. You can see that it has the drop down for the contact us, and what we're going to do is publish this. This also makes it mobile friendly, and I'll show that later. So we want to add a display condition. We're going to add this, that this header is displayed on the entire site. So you only have to change the header in one place. So we're good there. Let's go ahead and exit back to the dashboard, and we're going to do the same for creating a footer. So let's start again with templates, and we're going to add new So let's go back to theme builder. Once we're back in theme builder, we're going to go to footer, and there's no footer. So let's create one up here. Do an add new, and again you can pick from whichever one kind of serves your fancy. So we're going to pick this one. It kind of matches. All right, here's the footer, and let's go ahead and publish this. Again, we're going to add the condition on the entire site, and go back to the dashboard. And now let's take a look at the site and see how it's come along. Now you can see we have a basic header from which you can navigate to the different pages. You'll notice blog is really not formatted yet. We're going to come back to that next. And you can see all the different pages. The other nice thing with this is if you're in view mode and you want to edit this page, you can simply click edit with Elementor, and it'll bring up the Elementor editor. This is a way that I find very convenient to move through the site as you're updating. All right, the last thing is just to show you or introduce you to where the blog archives are. So again, we're going to go back to Theme Builder. There's 2 more templates and themes that we need to do. Let's start with the 404 error. This is a page that will come up if someone mistypes a URL. So you definitely want this page. You'll get dinged if Google doesn't see it. You can pick one here and add it to your 404 template and just go ahead and publish. and it'll say include on any 404. So that's the correct, that is the correct condition. So let's go back to the dashboard because we want to now do the blog template. So again, template, theme builder, and we're going to look for archive. The archive is the blog page that shows all the posts collectively, not just the individual posts. So we're going to start with the archive, and you can kind of pick, again, from whatever the pre-made formats or templates. You can also build it yourself, but let's just go ahead and pick one that looks to be appropriate. Here we go. We're going to insert that. So here is the template. You can see the hello world. That is a default post that comes with WordPress, just so you can see one rendered. Let's go ahead and click publish. You're going to have to add the conditions, and that will be for all archives. Go ahead and save that, and let's exit back to page. One more in the template. We're going to go to theme builder one more time, and we're going to look at single post. So this is how each individual blog post will look. By doing it in these global settings, you only have to change it once, and it will go to the automatic page. So let's look at how these are laid out. So pick a blog post that resonates with you. I'm going to pick this one. This is an avatar that we'll speak of later if you do have multiple authors on your site. So go ahead, add the condition, all singular is good, save and close. At this point, you have now structured your WordPress and Elementor site. So let's go ahead and look at some of the pages and see what it looks like. So again, we can go through here. Let's look at the blog. The blog archive is the format, and here's one individual blog. So let's take a look at it. Hello world. And just by way of additional examples, we're going to go and look at the post. So here you can see is the default one. I want to show you this in WordPress because in posts you will use this editor. You will not use Elementor. It will break things. So the first example of a good post. So start typing in what you'd want here, and we'll just make some. You can use some formatting, and I will get into the proper way to format a blog in a later video. But just know you can use some of these controls right here. This is good stuff. You have formatting bars here, so you can bold or italics or whatever you want. Just know this toggle bar is something people often overlook. You click it and you get more controls. So, and here I'm going to make this a heading 3, and there we go. Again, I'm going to explain more of this about the categories, the tags, the importance of a featured image. So let's go to your library. Actually, let's show you how to upload. So if you recall, we set up folders earlier, and we're in the blog, so uploading a file or photo is easy. You click on upload files, and remember we set up folders earlier, so you're going to want to choose which folder that goes into. Since we're doing a blog post, we want it to go into blog images, and we're going to select an image. This will go to your desktop. I'm just going to pick one we have here and upload it. So this is going to come and it's going to upload. Now the one thing to know of a particular importance is the alt text. Every time you upload a photo, you should describe what the photo is in alt text. This is a penalty by the search engines if you don't have alt text, as the search engines can't tell what the photo represents. So this would be a branded accelerator banner. Just describe what the photo is. Do not try and worry too much about SEO or getting keywords in there. Just be clear as to what it is. Let's set this as the featured image, and we'll go from there. So now we can click publish, and I'll show you why this is so important. Okay, once it's published, we can take a shortcut here to view the actual post so we don't have to navigate through. You can see the featured image is displayed here at the very top, and you can see your blog post. This featured image also comes into play on your blog archive. So you'll see all your featured images. This just makes it a much more visually appealing blog landing page, if you will. So there you have it. That is the basics of setting up a WordPress hosting with GoDaddy and installing Elementor for the visual editor.